I'm very pleased to have back on the program with us Will Bunch, the senior writer with the Philadelphia Daily News, the political blog Attitude, ATTYTOOD.com will get you to that. He's the author of several books, including Tear Down This Myth, The Right-Wing Distortion of the Reagan Legacy, probably the best book out there on the mythology of Reagan and how it got promoted. His latest new ebook, The Burn, B-E-R-N, as in Bernie, The Burn Identity, a search for Bernie Sanders and the New American Dream, is now available at Amazon.com and as an ebook on Amazon.com as well. Will, welcome back to the program. Will, can you hear me?
Hey, Tom. It's so great to be back. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So tell me about your new book.
Yeah, it's really exciting. 6 months ago, I was expecting the most boring presidential race of my lifetime. Everybody was talking about Bush versus Clinton and the battle of the dueling oligarchies. And, Bernie Sanders was out there. And, I love Bernie like a lot of people. I've been listening to him on your show for years, and that's been kind of my main introduction to him. And but he was being portrayed as kind of a protest candidate. And then he went out there and, I think he had 20,000 people for his announcement up in Burlington, and he started touring the country, and he was getting 5,000 and 10,000. And then he went to LA and he got 28,000 people. And I was excited, and he was moving up in the polls, and it was like, this guy has a chance. And for me, I mean, I'm always fascinated by the background of people, why they do what they do, where they come from. I was born in 1959. I'm a child of the 60s and the early 70s. And, I watched the baby boom generation, do some great things and taking on civil rights, protesting the Vietnam War. And I always hoped that a leader from that generation would emerge that would lead this country. And as my life unfolded, I'd kind of given up on that idea. We had two baby boomer presidents. George W. Bush was, who he was, and then Bill Clinton and his kind of triangulating style, not kind of the liberal I expected. And now here we are in 2015, and here's this 74-year-old guy who basically held on to the idealism of the 1960s for 50 years and is still, promoting the same ideals. And I wanted to hit the road, and I wanted to see this phenomenon, and I wanted to be a part of it and see what was going on.
So for writing your book about Bernie, did you travel around following him? Is that following his campaign? Yeah, well, as much as I could, I went to a number of rallies, in Massachusetts and in Virginia, and I spent some time up in Vermont. I tracked down the infamous Sugar Shack, which is this unbelievable shack way back in the woods, a half mile off any road, where he lived for a couple of years in the mid 60s. And I ended up in Las Vegas, kind of, Hunter S. Thompson was kind of the voice in my head while I was writing this, because I was thinking about the great political journalism of the early 1970s, when elections really mattered to people in a way that they don't seem to matter to enough people nowadays. So you're rewriting Fear and Loathing on the campaign
trail? So the opportunity to wrap the book up in Las Vegas, where they had absolutely. In fact, that was my Audible book in my headphones the whole time I was traveling around, was listening to Hunter Thompson's voice, because because that election, that 1972 election, even though it ended up being a rout for Richard Nixon, but it mattered who won that election, and it mattered to Hunter Thompson. And, it seems like so much political writing nowadays is so cynical. The game change, consultant focus group, look behind the scenes. I wanted to tell a completely different story in The Burn Identity, and I think I did.
We're talking with Will Bunch. His new book is The Burn, B-E-R-N Identity, as in Bernie. It's available over at Amazon.com. Is it just available as an ebook? Will?
Yes, it's an Amazon Kindle single, which means it's just available as an ebook. It's a quick read. It's about 33,000 words, which doesn't mean anything, but that's about half the length of a normal book. Yeah, you can read it in 2 or 3 hours, and it's priced at $2.99.
Oh, that's great.
You can read it on any kind of device.
So what,
read it on a smartphone or
for somebody
any kind of tablet.
For somebody who wants to introduce a friend, relative, a lot of us are going to be seeing, particularly relatives, over the Christmas holidays. What are the main carry home points? What are the main points what are the things that you learned writing this book that you want people to know?
Well, a couple things. I mean, I was really trying to find out that just the remarkable bond between Bernie Sanders and these supporters, these legions of 20,000 people who show up for these rallies, the people who have formed so many affinity groups for Bernie on Facebook or online. And the one word I just heard again and again and again was authenticity. He's just got a quality that you just can't, sit down with some consultants and some focus groups and come up with like some other candidates have done. He's been saying the same things for 50 years. Obviously he makes some adjustments to circumstances, but basically his core values have been the same for 50 years. The other thing that I really learned about Bernie, in case you didn't know this already, it's pretty obvious, I guess, but the biggest motivator for him is, he just hates dishonesty. In fact, his brother Larry, his older brother, who's a great guy, he moved to Great Britain in the late '60s, he's involved in the Green Party, and I had a really nice conversation with him about growing up with Bernie in Brooklyn. And he said even in grade school, Bernie was just that kid in class who couldn't tell a lie. If he knocked something over, he would tell the teacher and confess. Even if he was going to get in trouble, he was that kind of person. You listen to his stories about how he became liberal and how he got involved in his own brand of socialism in the 1960s. So much of it was just realizing that. So much of it was realizing that both political parties and the media and even the leadership at University of Chicago, where he was an undergraduate, that they were all lying to him, and he just really revolted against that kind of dishonesty. There's a great story that I found doing researching this that I'd never heard before, which is the real catalyst for him was the famous Kennedy-Nixon debates in 1960. Mm-hmm. And the conventional wisdom is that baby boomers fell in love with John F. Kennedy during those debates, and a lot of them did. And as you know from your own books, there are many wonderful qualities about John F. Kennedy. But Bernie Sanders in 1960, he was really interested in Fidel Castro in Cuba. He listened to what Nixon had to say about Cuba, and he listened to what JFK had to say about Cuba, and he concluded that they were both lying, that they were both being dishonest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hold on for 1 second.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it looks looks like we lost Will.
Yeah.
Oh, you're back with us. Okay.
No, I'm here. I just had a blackout for a second. So.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You feeling okay?
Not me, the room.
Oh, the room. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The lights went off because you weren't moving or something like that. I get it. Okay. So Will, we're down to about 30 seconds here. Just the book is called The Bern Identity, BERN Identity. It's available on Amazon as an ebook. It's a quick read, and it sounds like a fascinating book. And one of these times, Will, I want to get you back on to finish the conversation that we've had a few times over the years about who was Ronald Reagan really, and why do Republicans buy this stuff, and how did it get sold? Right,
there's a great interplay. I think there's a great interplay between the rise of Reagan and the development of Bernie Sanders. So it all ties together.
Wow, whoa! I wish we had more time for that. We will do that another time soon. But yeah, I see the rise of Reagan destroyed the middle class.
Thanks for having me on. It was a real pleasure.
Will, it's always great having you with us. And
when I was trying to find my first Bernie Sanders rally, I took a wrong turn and I ended up on the Ronald Wilson Reagan Memorial Boulevard, which I thought was too good to be true.
There you go.
In Manassas, Virginia.
Will Bunch, the new book, The Bern.
Making a wrong turn.
There you go. The new book, The Bern Identity.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And before that, his book, Tear Down This Myth about Ronald Reagan. Thank you, Will. To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.